welcome everyone to tonight's regular meeting for the month of February. Today is Monday, February the 12th, 2024. I have straight up 6:30. We've got a lot of information to cover tonight. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under public comments, we have Miss Debbie Cowan. How are you? Do you have a specific item you want to talk about, or just in general?
A non-agenda item.
Okay, great. Then please take the floor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, my name is Debbie Cowan, and I am before the council to ask if the council has had an opportunity to participate or to think about participating in the glass recycling program in Waco. It's the program that was formerly in place. Then when Owens Corning went out, the program was disbanded, and then it has just recently been restarted again. And so there are recycling bins throughout Waco where folks that are non-Waco residents can drop off their glass for recycling. And there's, in reference to an article on February the 1st in the Waco paper where they're in discussion with Knopf about their intense interest in all of the glass that they need. They have an interest in partnering with the communities on glass recycling programs. And my question is there any option or interest in the city of McGregor adding a glass recycling bin to the Wednesday recycling that we already have in place where we can recycle paper goods? The program that Carol Ferguson has, which is Keep Waco Beautiful, is the one where they are partnering with the community to bring the purple recycling bins to let people bring in their glass. So that was my question for the council.
Yeah, Kevin, what can you provide about that?
Be happy to have one.
Yeah.
We've talked to Knopf often about recycling and always knew they'd want to have a bin. So if this is the way it's going to go, then that's what we'll do. I actually sent a copy of that article to Kevin McHugh last week. So
Kevin, just real quick, so how would that work?
Well,
I guess Waco Recycling would send bins out here to us?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be where our other one is. We just might set it up a better and easier place to get to every day. Just haven't talked about that. Figured we'd work with Knopf on that.
So are you suggesting, Ms. Cowan, that every individual would get a...
No, this
You're
is not
about one site, one location.
That would be lovely to have, formal recycling
Yeah.
with the city, but that's a very expensive
Yeah.
project. This is just a bin that is brought to your location.
I got you.
And I have the article in reference if anybody wants to look at
Yeah,
the
sure.
contact
Leave it.
information on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So Kevin, that's something to work with, I guess, as you say, Knopf. I mean, obviously they have great interest in it, or should, so. Okay. Okay, that takes us to item number 1. Meeting's been called to order. 2, is there not? No minutes to, okay. So that takes us to item 2, discussion and possible action regarding emergency expenditure for rehabilitation of well 1B.
Mr. Jacob Henson has a conversation for you.
Yeah, I don't like these conversations, Jacob. The idea of emergency is never good.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So we've been in contact with SpaceX, I would say, for the last month or two in discussions on how to get them additional water so they can continue testing at the schedule that they would like to test at. We've been evaluating a couple of different avenues. The first being reclaimed water from the wastewater treatment plant. And we've been coordinating with TCEQ on that. The city is actually right now, they have a permit renewal that's under review. So it's kind of an ongoing process to be able to do that at this point. And the improvements that are necessary are a little bit further out than I think SpaceX would like, just to be able to get them with the type of reclaimed water that they could safely use for their uses. So the city currently has a well within the system, well 1B, that's not being used right now. There's been some preliminary work done on it to survey. We did a downhole camera survey on the well to basically evaluate its condition, see what sort of condition it was in. There's been a little bit of work to try and clean that out. There's some work that still needs to be done there, but then there's a lot of improvements that need to be done. It needs a new pump, needs a new motor, needs new electrical. It's been out of service for a pretty long while. So what we're asking council tonight is to approve the expenditure of emergency funds to get that well back up and running so we can provide SpaceX water kind of as a short-term stopgap until we can do the improvements at the wastewater treatment plant to be able to provide them with reclaimed water.
This is probably a question for Kevin, so two issues here that come to mind. Number one, is this what we've been talking about with SpaceX so that they can suppress sound? Is that
Part of it's suppression, yes, sir, but it's as much as anything else, just a supply issue there. We can't hardly keep up with the demand that they have at this point. And their testing schedule is going to accelerate pretty severely this next year.
And then secondly, and I think I know the answer to this, but this is all water, of course, that we sell to SpaceX.
Yes, correct. And then behind this is the water reclamation, trying to come up with a solution. You'd think that if we could just pipe the treated wastewater over there, we'd be in good shape, but it's just, as you might expect, not that simple.
Yeah.
And so that's coming, but this would be the quickest way to keep them on schedule without having to seriously slow down.
Yeah. So how long, Jacob, would you guess to fix the well? Do you even know what's wrong with the well yet? I mean, have you?
So the biggest thing is there have been things that have been dropped or fallen down into the well that need to be cleaned out. But then the screen has some growth and stuff on it that needs to have some. We need to do what we call a sonar jet scrub to scrub that screen, get it cleaned off. But again, the biggest requirements at this point are getting a new pump and motor and all the electrical put in to get it back and up and operational. We're working with Jurgensen Pump right now to be able to facilitate all of that. Unfortunately, I was not able to get kind of an updated cost estimate and timeline before this evening, but I have been coordinating with them almost on a daily basis now to try and expedite some of this.
Kevin, how long do we think it's been since that well was operational?
Oh, but way before my time.
Is that right?
So they intended to close it out, dropped a bunch of stuff down in it. Shouldn't have, but we're getting it cleaned out. They've pulled some of the plastic out of it. They've got some mortar that's down there that's got to be literally ground up, trying to find a bit that does that.
But there's no reason why it couldn't be used again.
Nope.
Wonder why we would have ever, or who?
We didn't. That
Yeah,
was,
who is?
It was Navy. It's a Navy
Really?
one. Yeah.
Okay. So Jacob, what you don't have even a guess on your timeline? You talking a week, a month, 2 months?
Not on the timeline, no. I would say estimate-wise, Jurgensen had provided an estimate about 6 months ago. There was about $125,000 to do the survey, to clean it, and to provide all the new equipment. So I would say right now the city's probably spent about $20,000 or so on the cleaning and camera survey. So you're probably looking at another $100,000 to $125,000 to get it up and running.
Kevin, any idea how long it'll take us to make that money back selling water to them?
Not very long.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. So what are you asking for us? What does the council need to consider tonight then? I mean, we essentially just approving emergency funds that,
Yes, sir, and then we'll report back to you. If it gets anywhere significantly above the 125 additional, then we'll come back to you with possibly even a special meeting. But we need to get the pump ordered. They gotta find the pump that needs to be done. We need to get them started on the electrical even while they're getting prepared to get it cleaned out.
yeah, that'd be my thought, is to have a special meeting if we need to.
If we need to.
Yeah, to really consider what all is gonna happen. So what does the motion look like?
Probably be best to give me a motion that approves the money of up to 140 between now and then. That may keep us from having to come back and begin repairs in an emergency basis.
Okay. And in the short term, where will the money come from? Carolyn, Kevin, who's gonna answer that question?
Wherever Carolyn tells me I can get it. But
I
probably.
mean, I know
was
we've got
looking at-
money in lots of different places, but.
Probably the industrial park capital account.
Yeah, I was
where
gonna say,
would go to
that'd be the
first.
best part, that's where we have the money set aside.
And I did budget for some for 1B, so we do have.
Oh, that's right.
some for there.
We budgeted part of that, so.
Yeah,
So between the budget amount and the capital improvement set aside,
we'll be fine.
okay. And just so everybody understands, every year when we make money off the industrial park, the various places that we make it, for these various reasons, we set money aside in a capital account out there, so we can make improvements and repairs that don't have to drain the general fund budget, so this would be one of those needs.
Do you know how much was put aside? The amount that was put aside in the budget for the loan?
120 total. We've already spent 20 of that.
Okay, council, is there a motion, and then we'll have other discussion as needed?
I'll make a motion that we approve the emergency expenditure for rehab of well 1B.
And make it up to.
Up
if you
to
would, please.
$140,000.
Thank you. There's a motion, and a second under item 2 as stated. Now, any other questions or comments from anybody? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. All right. Jacob, next one's yours too, huh?
Yes, sir.
Item 3 is discussion possible action regarding approval of bid award for the Johnson Drive overlay and widening improvements project as recommended by Walker Partners.
So we received 2 proposals on February 1st for the Johnson Drive overlay and widening improvements project. The low bid amount for that proposal was from Knife River. The other proposer was Texas Materials. And as part of that, we did a base bid and an ad alternate 1. The base bid amount was about 1.2 million, and the ad alternate was about 30,000. The engineer's estimate of probable cost was 1.46, so that base bid with the ad alternate came in even under that, about 17% lower than the EOPC. So tonight we are asking that you award the project for both the base bid and the additive alternate number 1. The additive alternate number 1 was for just some additional work that will extend the life of the roadway as part of that project. It was something that we considered, again, leaving out just from the standpoint from a cost standpoint, but because it came in lower, we feel like that you're getting a pretty good price there. Again, as mentioned, these were proposals, so we did it as a competitive seal proposal. Walker Partners, along with the city, ranked the 2 proposers separately. The bid was part of that scoring. Other parts were their experience as a company, the experience of their superintendent, their ability to meet time and schedule. So all of that was scored and averaged. And so along with being the low bidder, Knife River also scored the highest, with the highest value for the city. So we ask that you award that project to Knife River in the amount of $1,246,287.50.
And for everybody's benefit, Jacob and/or Kevin, refresh our memories again. How far? Where are we picking up the improvements and a general idea of what it's going to look like?
This is the full length of Johnson Drive, so from Blue
Picking up
Bonnet
at 84?
to 84, correct, yes, sir. As part of this, Johnson Drive will be, again, as the project name describes, there will be some widening as part of it to allow for a 3-lane section, the full length. So it will be 1 lane each direction with a continuous left turn lane in the center. But again, this is just an overlay project, so there is some base repair as part of it in areas where we feel like there's some base failure. And then again, there's the widening. But it's just, once those areas are repaired, then it'll just be an overlay of hot mix.
And I guess, Kevin, we've already got the right of way. There's no problems there.
Yep.
That's great.
And will this include, once the road is widened, obviously, will there still be an improved shoulder on that road?
There will not be an improved shoulder.
No shoulder of any kind then? Huh?
No, sir.
So I guess that's giving way then to the left-hand turn lane.
Correct.
Okay.
Before the businesses and stuff along Johnson that kind of have, like where the nursing home is and all that pavement that kind of ties directly in, all that will remain.
Yeah.
We're not taking up any of the parking or anything that's in front of those businesses.
All right, council, we've been seeing this come for quite a while, so. Is there a motion on item 3 to award to Knife River, and it needs to include the project total amount?
Motion to approve the bid award for the Johnson Drive overlay and widening improvement project as recommended by Walter Partners to Knife River for $1,246,287.50.
Second. There's a motion, a second, under item 3.
Do we need to make it for the total project?
I think it was it, the alternate one, the add-on?
It is.
That's
If you
correct.
look at the schedule, it
Yeah.
includes
That
that
was all added in there.
additive alternative.
Yeah. That should be correct. Any other questions, comments, council?
Do we know about when this will start?
So if this gets approved, then we'll move forward with executing contracts with Knife River and get a pre-con scheduled, and hopefully first part of March, we'll get started.
Good.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Is that all for you tonight, Jacob?
I believe so.
All right. Item 4 is to receive McGregor Independent School District proposal for A100 building. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Good evening, community members. My name is Travis Mutcher. I'm the superintendent for McGregor ISD, and I come to you before today for a interesting proposal. You're gonna have to click it for me. Yeah. All right, so as you know, our current junior high is in need of some attention. This campus was originally built in 1951. There were some additions added in 2008. Parts of the gym were renovated in 2011, and then the field house over at the junior high was renovated in, that also includes the weight room, in 2015. We have added some safety and security improvements over the last few years, and mainly over the last year and a half, and that functional capacity is currently at 505. So last year, a comprehensive facility study was done across the entire district, but most notably at the junior high, there were some code deficiencies related to plumbing, electrical, and gas issues. Building also has 18 of 33 classrooms that are below minimum size standards set by TEA. That also includes the library and all of our science labs. And then we have some ADA concerns about parking, access to the building, restrooms, locker rooms, and the door hardware within the building as well. And in addition to that, we have flooring, HVAC, PA system, food service equipment, water heater, and roof issues that they recommended all of that be replaced. In a nutshell, they said you need a new school. And so from that facility assessment, committee input, and then a community survey, it was recommended that we build a new junior high facility. The cost for a new junior high facility, if we were to build it from the ground up, would be, their projection would be about 50 to 55 million, based off of a capacity for 650 students, which is what we would expect to accommodate our growth over the next 10 to 15 years. So last Thursday night, the school board took a recommendation from Citizens Bond Committee to put forward a $82 million bond for the May, for a vote in May. And amongst other things, that would focus on a new junior high as being that key project, and then whatever money we have left from that would focus in on those other 4 areas, updating our high school and elementary school, HVAC, roofing, flooring, new CTE improvements for an ag building, transportation shop, and nursing clinic, a second gymnasium at the high school that would get the weight room off of the 2nd floor and allow our girls' sports to have a more equitable weight room, and also a training room for rehab. And then ADA and secure playgrounds at our primary and elementary school, as well as additional parking. So the proposition that I bring to you this evening would be a land swap of the junior high properties and the current ag land for the A100 building. Included in that land swap for the junior high would be the current gym, the weight house, field house, and our historic wood field, which are all in good standing and good shape and usable. And then we would look at the A100 property for a new junior high and high school CTE expansion. So why that building? Number one, it's been unoccupied for the last 2+ years. It was reconfigured as a call center and data center, but we don't anticipate that need given our proximity in a rural community. But that building does have a significant history to the city, from its use with the Navy, Hercules, Dell, and C3, and I feel like that history of that building should be kept alive. The interior of the building is certainly usable, and if we were to use the interior of that building for our classrooms and not have to start from scratch, it would save us at least $10 to $15 million on building a new junior high facility. So there is our current A100 building and the property surrounding it. The new construction would be added on to the back side of that. And yeah, keep going. There we go. Some new things that would be added on there. One more time there. So those would have to be done at a minimum to get the junior high into shape. And if you click it a couple more times, this would be some future expansions. As we grew and as we needed, there would be plenty of space to add different things on there. That's obviously not something that's going to happen in the next 5 years, but it might be something 10, 15, 20 years down the road that it would have the capability of housing different projects. So when you look at what that expansion would detail, it would obviously need a gym, locker rooms, weight room. It would need a kitchen added to it that had a cafeteria, fine art space for band, theater, and potentially choir. It would need a new library space, and then it would need some office space, counseling, nurse's office, SRO office, administration up in the front, along with a potential community center up in that top right corner there by the visitor parking. Then a courtyard and a blacktop to kind of round it out into a nice facility. And then the spot across the street, we feel like that would make an excellent ag facility in replacement for what we currently have. Allow indoor space for animals, show ring, and then enough area for animals as well. That would have to be fenced off, obviously, and that placement of that ag facility is probably not correct, but we have not spoken with construction or the architects or our current ag teachers about that particular project until we might have approval to move forward with it. The benefits of it is it would be in close proximity to our current facilities, especially for students that might need to travel from middle school to high school to the middle school. The additional land would accommodate all of our expected growth over the next 10 to 20 years, and all of our students would be able to benefit as they rise from our pre-K ranks all the way through graduation. So just ask for your consideration. If the bond were to pass, that we would be able to do a land swap and make that happen. Obviously, this would be contingent on that, unless you wanted to go ahead and do it anyway, but we wouldn't be able to start construction on a new junior high until we had appropriate funds to start building.
So Travis, real quick, if the projected cost would be 50 to 55 million without the A100 building, are you saying we could just deduct that off, and so you're looking at 35 million roughly?
You'd probably be looking at 35 to 40,
Okay.
and with that additional money, then that would allow us to extend our projects. We had roughly 16 to 20 projects that were identified by the Citizens Bond Committee. I think I only put 5 or 6 on there that were expected to be covered, but anything additional that will just allow us to do more projects with that additional 10 to 15 million.
Kevin, what are your thoughts about all this? I know you've given this a lot of consideration as well.
It looks like a good plan. The opportunity to market that facility for a call center or data center is going to be very, very dismal. Call centers are pretty much a thing of the past. Everybody's gone to the home model, which is why Dell left, why Convergys left, and eventually why C3 left. C3 came in from the standpoint of HIPAA because they were health insurance. Still had to have that type of facility. There was no tolerance for home facilities then in the HIPAA environment, and during COVID they found that tolerance and found a way that they make it work, and that's pretty much what everybody's doing now. We haven't had a single showing of this building in 2 years. Data centers this was upgraded for C3 to be also a data center in their plan, but most data centers like to go nearer to the heart of Dallas, the heart of Houston. They need to be closer to the business decision-making people, and they have to have very fast, as a general rule, they like very fast connections to Wall Street, if you will. That's a generalization, but we haven't had anybody interested in it either way. I've talked to SpaceX several times about office space, and they have thought about it, but have disregarded it now pretty much permanently. So I think it's a very good option for what you're looking at. It gives us align on some stuff in the area of Parks and Recreation that's needed for the future with the gym and the Woods Field and the rest of that property there. I have a fellow waiting to do a appraisal of this property and their property so you can get a comparable, and we've talked about other things that the school could work with us on that would get the comparative value not anywhere equal, but it would be much closer. And if you feel comfortable enough with it, we'll proceed, and I'll be updating you on those appraisals and other things between now and May, and visiting with Travis about what that agreement would actually look like and what the details would be. We'll probably have a couple of kisses at that pig before May, and then see what happens in May as well.
So Travis, looking at the newspaper and seeing this announced tonight, when will you, the school, the bond committee, when will y'all officially kick off the campaign to really show to the community, sell to the community what the school's trying to pull off?
I would say that will probably happen late this week, early next week.
And I'm assuming you would want to be able to tell the community this is part of it or not
Yeah,
part of it.
absolutely.
Is that right? Yeah.
Absolutely, and then it would allow our architects to do renderings so that we could actually show the community what the renderings of that new school and facilities would look like as well.
Well, for the public out here behind the scenes, all the council's kind of seen this a little bit. We've had a chance to, in one-on-one settings, to visit with Travis about this and hear from Kevin. Look, folks, Kevin's right. This building out here, it's been our city building for a long time now, since it was turned over by Hercules in 2000-ish, and we had Dell was our first tenant out there. But Kevin's right. This place is set vacant now for 2 years, and there's not a single prospect that's come through. And when Travis first mentioned the idea that we could make a school out of it, I was stunned. That never had crossed my mind. But having heard his excitement, those on the school board, if the architects can make that work, I mean, look, the building will be the last building standing in McGregor if something bad were to happen to this place. I mean, it is made out of steel, concrete. It's not going anywhere. It's probably the best built building in town. And if they can fix it up and use it for our junior high, for our students now, future students, I think it's more than a win-win. I think it's a home run for everybody. It'll save the city money. It'll save you money. When we look at $15 million, we're not looking to make some even swap. It's not going to happen that way. But if we can save a few tax dollars, a few pennies on that tax rate on the school side, then that's the benefit for all of us. And Kevin's also right. We have talked a while about an indoor recreational facility, a place for kids, adults to play basketball in the evenings undercover, or whatever projects we might want to have. Well, we'd get we call it the old junior high gym. A little work on that thing, and I think it'd be a fantastic spot. Wood Field. Look, Wood Field is part of McGregor history. It's been McGregor history for, I don't know, over 100 years, and we need to keep it that way and make some improvements to it as well. So I was really excited about it. I hope the rest of you are as well, because we'll all need to pitch in to get this project to pass. I know Travis is looking at a big bond election. And look, it is a big bond election. It's a lot of money, and they'll be able to tell all of us exactly what it's going to mean to our bottom dollar when we all have to pay the property taxes for it. But I think we absolutely have got to invest in our future. We've got to invest in our future. We've got to invest in our kids. And I think this is a great way to do it. I'm really pleased about taking something that otherwise had no use and make it such a great use. Again, I think it's just a great opportunity for all of us, and I would encourage all of you, because I think I'm pretty certain what the council's going to do tonight. We have questions, certainly, but at least to get this ball rolling, And I would certainly encourage all of you to ask the questions and to get behind this as well. So, council, anybody else have any remarks about this? I know that you all are intimately aware of what's going on as well.
I was encouraged by something Travis said about trying to maintain the history of the building in some form or fashion, and it being a piece of history that we get to keep instead of demolish at some point, and all the kids that go through there are gonna get to see this is what this building and this property meant to McGregor for a long time, so that was pretty interesting.
That's right. Anybody else, council? Anything?
Well, for our children that have been through that junior high, this is exciting to me. I think, to look to the future of what, our future children are gonna have as a facility, and also the continuing education part of it is really exciting to me, so I'm about behind this 100%.
Kevin, Travis, anything else you all need to present? And I don't guess there's Kevin, do we need to vote on anything tonight?
It wouldn't hurt for him to have a vote of the council
Yeah.
to start the process up.
Doesn't matter how it's listed on the
Yeah.
agenda.
We
Yes,
probably
that
should.
was the-
Yeah.
It won't be a formal vote, but
Yeah.
you'll have plenty of opportunity to vote on it.
Yeah.
I think he gets what you
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah, I think, Travis, you got the council's unanimous desire to go do what you all need to do with this to make this work, and to the extent you need our help to help push this in the streets of McGregor, we'll be there for that too, I reckon.
Thank you, very much appreciated. There will be community meetings over the next 3 months, obviously, prior to that. So any questions about the bond will be answered at those different community meetings. The website is up. It just doesn't have a lot of information on it, but if you go to our McGregor ISD website, there's a special button just for the bond on there that already has some of those projects listed out. But as we get going with it, like you mentioned earlier, you'll be able to put in the value of your home, and it'll give you a direct correlation to what that anticipated increase might look like. But keep in mind, we don't set tax rates for the school until August. That's several months after a bond might pass, so that tax rate impact is directly dependent upon all of the industrial development coming into town. So it's a high likelihood that it's not going to be as much as anticipated with conservative numbers.
Yeah, and that's another big thing that Travis just brought up. We all need to keep in mind, when we're talking about developing the industrial park, to the extent we can continue to do that, that means all of us, but certainly the school, can do more with a lower tax rate. And so I know this council and future council will always be keeping that in mind, and that's one of the reasons why we're always looking to grow the industrial park, to fill that land out there with good quality corporations that bring good value, both in the terms of real property value and the people that they bring in. Because as we continue to grow that, then it allows the school to grow without growing your tax rate and the tax bill. So, Travis, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we
Thank
look
you, Council.
forward to helping y'all out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that takes us to item 5, receive a presentation regarding the total eclipse occurring on Monday, April 8, 2024.
Hi.
Cassie?
I have the joy of going over our eclipse, some notes. We're going to start with some notes. We're going to start with some history from 2017 when the eclipse went over the United States. And then we're going to move forward into a little bit of emergency services planning, as well as kind of what we're looking at on our end, plus the work we're doing with the school as far as the day of. So, all right, this is the full eclipse that's going over on Monday, April the 8th of this year. It is twice as long as the eclipse was in 2017. That went the opposite direction over the United States. So Gatesville is going to be one of the longest, most optimal viewing points. We're at 4 minutes and 18 seconds, and then Waco's at 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So the closer we get to Gatesville, the longer the eclipse will last. You'll see every once in a while there's notes that'll tell you it'll be about 3 hours. From the time it starts to the time it ends is about 3 hours. But the point of total darkness where the moon is completely over the sun for us will be 4 minutes and 18 seconds in the middle of the day. We're talking a little bit afternoon, so right in the middle of the day.
So how dark are we talking about?
Dark.
Yeah,
Yes.
nighttime.
Nighttime dark.
Wow, that's gonna be cool.
So. All right, so just a little bit more information. The anticipated influx of people into the United States just for that Monday alone is 31 million people that are coming from somewhere else.
For 4 minutes?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. They think at the highest level, Texas will get 720,000 people. At the lowest level, we'll get about 180,000 people. Keep in mind, we're a large state, so those numbers seem to feel elevated, but we have a lot of space. So this comes from the county. We went to a meeting a few months ago. We've been planning this for months, so keep in mind there's a lot of information if you have more questions. The county put a power presentation out there from 2017. They contacted various cities that were in that path in 2017, got some statistics on what their population looked like, whether or not they held any events, how many people came into the city, if they would have had any suggestions, or if there's things that happened that they wouldn't have expected or anticipated. So I've got 6 or 7 different cities in here that had populations from about 10,000 all the way to in the millions, depending on how large the city was. Now keep in mind, the way it flowed over the United States, most of the cities were in a smaller size. So we're talking more in the 25 to 30, 40,000 people. What we can gather from a lot of what they sent out to everybody is that they planned for months for just the influx of people. They didn't anticipate where are these people all going to stay, where are they going to eat, what groceries are they going to buy, where are they going to get their things to sit out in the courtyard of some place for 4 minutes and 18 seconds, those kinds of questions. So they had quite a bit of cities that had a lot of issues because they had so many people in their city and just kind of really didn't anticipate it well enough. A lot of them had events, and they would have a weekend event leading into it or a full daytime festival or activities, not really knowing how are we going to handle all of this. But a lot of them ended up with too many people, I guess you could say, not in a bad way, but they had more people than they anticipated, and they sold out of everything that could possibly have been purchased. So their biggest things to remind the other cities going into this is that the days leading up to the eclipse, you're going to have a lot more traffic than normal. And they start thinking Thursday, Friday leading into the weekend. The traffic on any given day with all the extra people, if it's a 1 to 2 hour drive, anticipated 4+ hours. So you're talking people leaving the event after the eclipse is completely over. With that many people, everyone trying to leave at the same time, the county's thinking it's gonna be closer to 5 or 6 hours for a regular 1 to 2 hour drive. The congestion stops emergency vehicles, so you have to make sure to figure out how to get people refueled and back on the road and make sure that things aren't stopped or hindered along the way. A lot of the businesses ran out of things. They were overtaxed and not enough staff. Grocery stores would run out of food, or restaurants would no longer be able to serve specific items because, of course, they couldn't make it anymore because they didn't have what they needed. And then after everybody leaves, what trash and what cleanup and what do you have to deal with when you're done? Because we may love our city, but not everybody else is going to be quite as friendly with our city as you would hope for. And because we are on a highly traveled path of Highway 84 between Waco and Gatesville, it's going to be a little bit more for us than it would for a lot of other places. So these were some pictures in 2017 when the event was over, people trying to leave. A lot of the cities said they shut down 1 or 2 lanes on the opposite side of the highway and had emergency vehicles going down the other way just to get them to places when they needed to be somewhere. And they said it was like this for hours. It's a Monday. It is a Monday, yes. So, the people were gonna look for places to park and for places to sleep. So they would open up parking lots for paid parking for people coming through town. They would open up, parks or open spaces for people to camp or RVs or whatever it is they might be bringing with them. And they charged a premium, but they definitely tried to make sure that people weren't overcharging. They tried to keep like a standard. Now, I will tell you, in Waco right now, you can't find a hotel room for that weekend. The event that was supposed to happen at the Exchange that weekend is no longer happening. We've canceled and rescheduled them for another time because they couldn't get their judge, is a dog show out of Austin. They couldn't get their judges' rooms anywhere within 50 miles of us. So we're trying to keep that in mind. We also only have one hotel. So we're trying to figure out how to accommodate the influx of people who are just going to decide they're just going to drive down the highway and stop where they stop, and this is where they're going to sleep for tonight. We're also recommending that businesses hire some sort of security if they want to make sure people aren't staying or sleeping in cars on their property, if they're worried about that kind of thing, because that was a big recommendation too. We are a small PD. So we have to keep in mind that they are going to be overtaxed. So we need to make sure our businesses are prepared for this as well. So the county wants us to expect that hotels and restaurants will be full. The economic impact in our county alone, and then of course because we are so close to Gatesville, is going to be pretty astronomical. People arrive early and are almost ready to leave the minute it is over. Parks will be full. Parking spaces will be hard to find. Your resources will dwindle going into that Monday as far as groceries or restaurants, that kind of thing. And then, of course, right after the event is over, the influx of traffic trying to leave is going to cause a problem. So then the county listed out these issues specifically as far as traffic management, parking, how do you do waste management, service calls, make sure that your fire and your PD can get to where they need to go. How do you handle people wanting to do urban camping or rural camping or stopping on the side of a highway? As we know with SpaceX right here, people will stop on the side of the highway to watch a test rocket. So what's to stop them from deciding they want to try the same thing this weekend or for the eclipse weekend? So we spoke with the ISD probably a day or two after Travis started. I called him and said, hey, I would like to speak on this. He's like, I'm not sure I'm prepared for this, but I'll meet with you in a week. I kind of gave him the rundown of what we've been talking about with some other cities for months leading into it. And they did, as a school, decide that they're going to do a teacher in-service day, so the kids won't be in school that day. You won't have to worry about kids getting on school buses in the afternoon and being on buses for way too long before trying to get home. They can also use it as a learning experience for a lot of the kids. So we are going to do some designated viewing area out there behind the school from where the stadium is to the edge of Launchpad Park. So that is kind of going to be like our go-to area, because if we can focus the people coming through town into one space, our PD and our fire department resources can have a better time getting to where they need to be. The Ministerial Alliance did contact me about possibly doing something at the Exchange, Sunday church services, Monday worship, kind of with people that are going to be in town. Those activities haven't been determined yet. We did work out with the American Legion to do designated camping for RVs as well as tents. So they're actually going to manage that the entire weekend, Thursday through Tuesday, depending on how long people are going to be in town. The thought behind doing that was if we have other resources managing things, as far as if school programs are wanting to have something or the Ministerial Alliance is wanting to put something together, they can use those things and they can share what they need to without us as a city staff having our resources pulled too thin. Parks Department has 6 people. We can't maintain all of our parks over the weekend by ourselves, kind of thing, if we have people camping everywhere within the city parks.
Are we charging anybody to?
They are actually, and I have a slide for you for that one, so absolutely.
So you're gonna need a ton of porta potties and things?
I have that for you as well, yes,
All right,
sir.
I'll just-
We also spoke with our local urgent care about doing some first aid services at a lot of these places where they're gonna have a lot of people, so that we can kind of mitigate some of those in-between instances. They're looking at 2 places right now, the Cabot Caulfield Center and then the school the day of viewing. There's also potential for them to do like a little first aid center where we're doing all the camping as well. So this is kind of our McGregor ISD viewing area between the school and Launchpad Park. We're looking at a one-day little event. It starts at 10, ends at 4. There'll be vendor shopping, there'll be food trucks, some live music. We did reach out to SpaceX about a speaker, and they're on board, but they're finalizing on their end what the requirements of that will be. The school is going to do some science experiments and demonstrations, and then we are going to set it up where the school is handling their parking lots for paid parking, and then we're offering it to the Little League and or the FFA if they want to handle the parking at Launchpad Park. It's a fundraiser for them, and then we have some additional resources with them handling that. City staff can manage the wider net of everything. So then this is the information I was provided through the Legion. They have paved RV spots, which you'll notice is the blue square. It's the paved parking behind A100. The non-paved is the green square. The tent camping is the yellow. And then they obviously have some more parking area back there, so they have plenty of other things. So they're doing boondocking or primitive camping. And if you're unfamiliar with those terms, it's bringing your RV out with its own potable water and a generator or whatnot, so that it doesn't have the hookups or those kinds of things you would if you were going to, like Corps of Engineers Park, that kind of thing. And then primitive camping would be tents. That's that reference. They're going to have porta potties there, as well as they did call in to get some of those big ice containers dropped so they can have ice for the weekend for people who might need anything. So then we, as a city, are looking at viewing glasses, porta potties, and then possible figuring out how to handle the live music stage for the one-day festival, as well as extra dumpsters. The two that I would really want to make sure we do is porta potties and the additional dumpsters. We would put porta potties all over the city in our parks, because we would have an influx of people where we can kind of maintain where people have somewhere to go to the bathroom, as well as the additional dumpsters to try and make sure all the trash does make it to a dumpster versus just on our roads or in our parks and that kind of thing. The income on something like this would be minimal, because you're not going to you'll have food vendors, but there's no need to overcharge. If you have people coming, it'd be nice to have them to have those options. I did speak with a bunch of food vendors, and I do have 4 or 5 of them that would be on board for something like this. A lot of the other cities recommended doing some sort of merchandise, like a t-shirt with the logo on it, like I saw the Eclipse in McGregor or whatever it may be, because a lot of people sold out in the first 2 hours of having merchandise. And there was a discussion about doing tent camping in the parks. Without the manpower, it's really not something I'd recommend for our city, simply because we have 5 city parks. If we want to take Legacy Park out of that, we have 4 good-sized parks where that's 4 parks where we would have to maintain someone there to make sure that there's not issues or people doing things they're not supposed to be doing. And our parks tend to close at dusk anyway. So it's one of those things where we have to figure out what is the best medium between what we can handle as a city and what we can arrange with everybody else to make sure they have somewhere to stay. So it would be able to be, oh, you've stopped at the park, someone stops and says, hey, you can't stay here tonight. However, if you want to run just down Johnson Drive, the American Legion has somewhere where you can go ahead and stay, kind of thing. The other thing would be is I did have a couple of other businesses reach out to me about using their paved parking or like fields as far as tent camping and things like that. If we had a list of all those places, we could direct people, hey, this is a list of all the places you can stay over the weekend, and for the Eclipse, you can try each one out that has availability, kind of thing. But that would give us a little bit easier time with us having to handle everything. Oh. Do y'all have any questions? And this sounds ridiculous, but I've been doing the research on this for probably 8 or 9 months at this point, and everyone told me that I was crazy. It wasn't going to be a big deal. And then the county said, we're going to get 1.5 million visitors to count 5 times our city population as influx of people just to our city alone. We also do have phone calls about people wanting to fly their planes in.
My only question is, So we've been planning this. Have we already started talking to the businesses in our community, letting them know of this? Or-
I did. This year we started doing all of that. So in January we did the chamber luncheon where we kind of started prepping everybody for like, hey, we're looking at this. February is the city council meeting. In March 6th, I'll be at the library for another presentation of something just like this. I do have 2 letters ready to go out, one to citizens and one to our businesses that were put out by the Astrological Society on, hey, be prepared. Let's look at what probably needs to be done going into that weekend. And they're full of information as far as, you know, make sure if you don't want people on your land, put up some extra no trespassing signs. Or if you don't want people staying in your parking lot, it might be a good idea to hire some personal security guards for the weekend kind of thing. Because as a small city, there's a lot of things that we just don't have the resources to handle ourselves.
And then the one-day festival would be that day?
Yep, just
The one that
Monday
we're
from
talking-
10 until 4.
And so have we thought about maybe something for the weekend?
We have, but I don't think the goal is to see how many people we can get to McGregor. I think the goal is to see how many people we can manage that are already here. It was never thought of as like, hey, let's try and make some money. It was more of a, let's make sure that our emergency services can do what they need to do. So the idea was to do local advertising of it. So if you're in the area already, you have somewhere to go, something to do, versus like Hillsborough was doing an entire 4-day festival leading into it in their old outlet mall where they have all the parking and all the things. I mean, Gatesville is doing an entire festival going into it as well. So the traffic between Waco to Gatesville, I can imagine, is not going to be fun that day.
How many million people do you think coming to the US, you said?
130? It was on the first slide. I don't remember. It's not working. Go to the next one, please. There you go, 31 million.
So that's a Tuesday.
It's a Monday. It's a Monday.
We canceled our council meeting, we moved our council meeting
To the next one?
to the next week.
Jeez.
I don't think we're gonna be able to drive around.
Chief, you need to deputize some people. I got a little gun. I already got everybody working those 3 days, double dispatchers and everything.
Yeah, the city has already decided that we're on all hands on deck kind of day, not doing time off that Monday.
We're just picking up the pieces.
I wish I could come to the.
So, however, if we want to do Revolution Day, you know, Tuesday, we can help with parks cleanup. I'm all on board.
Hey, is that our cleanup day?
It's gonna be a mess. And then if it rains, it's really gonna be a mess.
Yes. Well, and that was kind of the thought behind the camping at A100. It's not plowed. So getting on and off of it is a little bit easier even with a little bit of rain. But if you think of like some of the farmers' fields, I have no doubt people are going to stop on the side of a highway and just think they can camp, or to go into a field and think that they can be there, it's no problem. They're not familiar with Texas. They're not familiar with purple fences or the things that we have here. So we are going to have to be a little more diligent that weekend about making sure everything's handled in the best way appropriate.
Florida, it was camping is gonna be a problem.
Well, thank you for even our
Yeah.
festival, our solar eclipse festival, and working on it, yeah. Thinking ahead.
Didn't have much of a choice.
All right, anybody have any questions for Cassie? Okay, thanks a lot. Have fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll be gone. Unless I decide to open up my own pasture here in town and make a killing.
Make some money, yeah.
Item 6, hold a public hearing regarding ordinance 001-2024, changing zoning classification for certain properties located within the city limits of the city of McGregor, it's the western block of Rogers.
Good evening, council. So we actually had a pretty good crowd at planning and zoning last Monday, so I've updated this slide, be a little bit more clear on what we're proposing. We've had some developers that have reached out to us about building on some of the empty lots that are in East McGregor, specifically within the green box there. The western side of the green box is zoned R6, which is 6,000 square foot lots. And then the green line that's on the left of the screen, everything to the east of that is called manufactured housing, which is a different lot size and different setback requirements. We were looking at a way where we could try to expand some of the residential zoning, get some more traditional stick-built houses in East McGregor that wouldn't get us into spot zoning or creating a bunch of variances or just opening up Pandora's box, something down the road legally. And talked to Charlie, talked to some of our consultants and other planners, and felt like this was the easiest way for us to expand a little bit of our single-family home zoning. So the proposal is right now that the red line is the dividing line between R6 and MH.
And that's Rogers.
No, sir, that's actually the back boundary of the homes that are
Okay.
facing east that are on Rogers. So I say the alley. There's not really an alley there, but if there were, it'd be the alley. So the proposal is to just move it from the back of those property lines to the front of those property lines and have Roger Street be the actual line of delineation between R6 and MH. And so you could say, moving forward, that the western side of Rogers is zoned R6, and then the eastern side of Rogers would be manufactured.
But it's increasing the R6 area.
By 1/2 of a block, yes, sir. So driving down the street there, just to kind of see what impact that would have. There's only one home that's there that is actual mobile home. That would be the only one that would be, going forward, would be a non-legal conforming home. Everything else would be within the zoning requirements.
And this was spurred around because somebody wants to build
Well,
traditional homes?
we discovered that there, I don't know, I don't have the factual data, but that there were some homes that were built in MH that didn't quite meet the zoning specifications, and someone approached me, and it was the, will you let somebody else do it in the past kind of thing. And so we wanted to see what we could do so that we didn't get ourselves into a legal situation later on down the road. And this is the way that we could do it to accommodate somebody building stick-built houses over there in traditional form, concrete foundation.
Well, you can always build stick-built houses in a mobile home.
You can, but most of the lots that are in East McGregor are not large enough for a mobile home. So this allows them, so that if we move the mobile home, the R6 a little bit over, then the requirements for that block, or that western block face, are smaller lot size, 6,000 square foot.
The mobile homes are longer now, so you
Mhm.
don't get the front or the backyard setback. That just creates an issue.
Okay, so what happened at planning and zoning?
Just had a lot of questions, specifically on what the zoning was. Did have some people speak up, and were told that many years ago they asked if they could build on Roger Street, and they were told that they couldn't have a mobile home there. I'm not sure what that conversation looks like, kind of coming into it after the fact, but just general questions about that going on. Councilman Henderson was there, so I believe the feelings towards it were pretty positive, but I don't know if the councilman wants to speak to his experience in the crowd.
Yeah, Andrew, what
Well,
is your
my
thought?
concern that I didn't really fully understand, because I had always thought that from the council and what we voted on before, I thought from Rogers, back towards town, where you put, a single family home. And then from, going from Rogers towards Johnson was where, the mobile homes or like that.
Mhm.
That was my understanding.
Well, the original zoning was both sides of the street, or it is right now, both sides of Roger Street is manufactured. But if we move the line just to where the street actually is, then the ones that are on the western side would be R6, and the ones on the eastern side would be MH. So you're making it allowable to build on the western side of Roger Street in the lots as the way that they're zoned, rather than needing a variance or to have to buy 2 lots or a lot and a half.
So where there's one house that's right there on Rogers, you know, going towards 7th Street, right? You know, going to the house right there, going towards 7th Street. Okay, so on that side right there, you can build single-family homes, right? Back, right? Is that what you're saying?
Are you talking about right here?
You know, it's one house that's from, from 5th Street to 7th Street. It's one house there.
That's why you should have highlighted there.
Right. Oh, this is a mobile home, but are you talking about right here?
On the other side, it's one house. It's a house that was put there, a single-family home. And then it's empty lots all the way on one, all the way down.
Mhm.
And it's empty lots that up to,
right here.
5th Street, ain't it?
Right here?
I guess so.
Yeah, this is zoned MH. So as long as the lot was big enough to build on, they could still build a single-family home on it. But that's what, the lot size for MH is 7,500 square feet, and for R6, 6,000 square foot. So 1,500 square foot doesn't sound like that much, but when you're trying to operate within a small box, it can be pretty
See, most of the
confining.
lots over there are 50 by 120.
That's correct.
50 wide and
Yeah.
120 deep.
Mm-hmm.
To get to the 6,000.
You know,
Yeah.
What you talking about for building up the house? That's why we were talking. Don't you remember when we came up with about the planning?
Mm-hmm.
If we was putting a house on, you know, like wouldn't have to be if you own both of those lots, you know, because most of the lots over there, like I said, not all of them, but most of them are 50 by 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the only way that a lot of those can be accommodating, is have a double lot or a lot and a half.
Well, me personally, I think it seems beneficial to push the line back to accommodate more single-family residence homes. I mean, is that kind of what the
Yeah,
community thought too, Andrew? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, that was a feeling that I kind of had, and that's what, cause see, the way I was looking at first, from what, like I said, to understand it, and maybe I misunderstood in a way, but that's what I wasn't understanding, cause they were saying one time that it just went for the R6 right there on Rogers on this side, see? Where the way that is, then you can, like you said, just push it back, you know, a little further.
Yeah, so the east side of Rogers be suitable for mobile homes.
Mhm.
West side of Rogers now, it'd all be R6.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is.
That's the proposal.
Yeah.
You have to allow for, in your community, you have to allow for every type of
Yeah.
housing somewhere. So rather than eliminate MH completely, the only other option there really would be probably put it in light industrial, which our light industrial really exists off the highway, so that's not an ideal situation there. So this allows for a little bit more single-family housing and still allows for there to be an area for MH. The other area that's zoned MH is down in the David Davis neighborhood. I think there's only 1 or 2 lots left over there.
Well, let's do this then. It's 7:39. Under item 6, we're going to open up the public hearing regarding ordinance O-01, 2024, the proposed zoning change we've been talking about. So this time, 7:39, public hearing is open. Anybody want to comment from the public about this matter?
Sorry.
You said, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
In regards to the mobile homes? if they
Yeah,
don't have
Ms.
the
Carroll,
appropriate-
Ms. Carroll, you please, we can't hear you and.
In accordance with the mobile homes, you have to have so many square footage, right?
7,500.
7,500. So if a person doesn't have that 7,500, he can't put a mobile home there,
That's correct.
lengthwise or otherwise.
Right, if it doesn't fit, then
If
they
it
would have.
doesn't fit, they can't put it in there.
That's correct.
And if they try to put it in there, what happens?
Well, they would have to come to the city and get permits,
In the
and
city, don't they supposed to get the permits before they put the,
that's correct.
Yeah, but you gotta get water hookups. There's all sorts of ways that we should know.
They have to pour a foundation, get water hooked
Right.
up. There's
But-
inspections that go
so
on.
this should be done before they put the trailer house there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you know of one, let me know.
Sound like you know something.
I have a feeling you're gonna call me.
Call 'em.
Public hearing still open. Anybody else?
And
All
they
right.
have to have a driveway, right?
It's getting deep.
Everybody needs a community watch person. Everybody needs a
Let's come see.
neighborhood. Anything else? All right, public hearing's closed at 7:41, so we'll go to item 7 for the vote. Item 7 is discussion and possible action regarding approval of ordinance O-01-2024, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, changing zoning classification for certain properties located within the city limits of the city of McGregor, western block face of Rogers. Is there a motion under item 7 by ordinance number?
I move that we adopt ordinance 0-01-2024.
There's a motion and a second on item 7. Ordinance is stated. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 8 is to hold a public hearing regarding ordinance O-02-2024, an ordinance of the city of McGregor, Texas, amending sections 2.2 and 2.3 of the zoning ordinances of the city of McGregor relating to permitted uses regarding brewery, brew pub, distillery, or winery, restaurant, food trucks, and mobile food park.
Council had some conversations with the Economic Development Director, Andrew, talking with some other entities that want to come to town. We've had some interest in a brewery or a brew pub come to town. And just in looking at our code of ordinances regarding, you know, their allowable right, different zonings and stuff like that, we realized that we didn't have some of these definitions in our ordinances. We didn't even have what a definition of a restaurant was. And so went in there, this is just how the use table will change if y'all adopt this ordinance, but in there you should have also the definitions that we are proposing to put into the code of ordinances. With the mobile food park being something that I added on top of our discussion and then changed some of the zoning proposal over there so that medium industrial, those were permitted uses, and I changed them to specific use so we can control a little bit more what that looks like. Planning and zoning's concern was, you know, like maybe it's a taco truck or something pops into the industrial park, you know, to sell breakfast tacos or something. That's not really what we're looking at controlling. We're looking at someone that's wanting like more of a long-term establishment.
Well,
like
and that's part of the problem. I know they've had that problem in Waco is food trucks show up as like a permanent stop.
We're looking at like that 77 food truck thing that's over by Baylor, so we would be able to control where that is at and that kind of thing. And then the brew pub, just the size and the scope of what they're doing there. To be honest with you, Temple has really good ordinances regarding that, so I just stole theirs and for the brewery and the brew pub. But those are the recommendations that we add those to accommodate brewery, brew pub, distillery, winery, and then make sure that we're defining what a restaurant or food truck and mobile food park is.
And so it's by special use permit.
That's the proposal. Right now, restaurant, open air, food vending, food trucks, those are permitted actually in medium industrial and heavy industrial. So the yellow is the indication of the change there that it would be by specific use, just to kind of control that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Where's it going in at? Where does it want to go? Is it going in Luigi's?
Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luigi's.
Maybe.
Do we need more information?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, everybody understand that? Specific use permit, they have to come to council first to get approval to do that, and that's only adding in the medium industrial. Those other GC, commercial business district, light industrial, it's already.
This is all new, so make sure to clarify that this is a new section here. This is an amended section with another use and then the permitted or specific allowable by right. This is all new at the top though.
And they would have to come yearly to get that special.
No, it's a one-time thing, but if they left and it changed use or it was gone for a long time, they would have to come back.
Okay, so under item 8, public hearing is open, as we have discussed. It is 7:45. Anybody under the public hearing would like to comment? Hearing nothing, the public hearing is closed at 7:46. Takes us to item 9, which is discussion and possible action regarding ordinance O-02-2024. An ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, amending sections 2.2 and 2.3 of the zoning ordinances of the City of McGregor relating to permitted uses regarding brewery, brew pub, distillery or winery, restaurant, food trucks, and mobile food park. Is there a motion by ordinance
Make
number?
a motion, we approve ordinance O-02-2024.
Second. There's a motion and second under item 9. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Okay, item 10. It's to hold a public hearing regarding application for replat of 329 Rogers, Hale Joe Lot, 1415 Block 4 acres, .2755 of the McLean County Appraisal District 136509.
So this is the home builder that actually spurred the interest in moving the line for R6 to Rogers. He brought up some history of some previous builds that he was aware of, so we started a discussion. But right now, he has a double lot on Rogers Street that he would like to build on, and because it was replatted, there wouldn't be a way for him to get a zoning board variance for hardship variance. So that's what started the exploring of the moving the zoning boundary. Right now, the lot currently looks like this, and he would like to replat it so that he can put 2 single-family homes there. And so this is a home here on the corner is new, so you would have 3 new homes on that street if he was allowed to build there.
So the replat would be,
Right now, it's 100-foot wide,
yeah,
and so the proposal is just to split it 50-foot wide.
and it would still be around that, I guess what Andrew was talking about, that 50 by 120 roughly?
It's 6,000 on the button, yes, sir.
So that was, well, it wasn't, never to get plumb finished, but it was all the way up to, with the roof and everything. So the house, the plan is built on that, then they're gonna be half of what, the 2 houses gonna be half of what that is?
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you look,
See, that was a whole house in the city went in and, you know, they stopped it because they was out of compliance with a lot of things, and then they even red tagged it and all that, and they still went to try to finish building and all that, so they wind up eventually, plumb tearing it down. But it had been all the way up to, had the thing, I think they were just about at the roof, putting the roof on. But it's, what I'm saying, so that means they're gonna be a smaller, 2 smaller houses in there than what was actually gonna be built in there.
yeah, I'm not sure exactly what his house plans, I don't know the square footage off the top of my head, but they should be similar to the house that was built here, similar in size to this one
The
there.
new one?
Yes, sir.
It's a nice house.
So y'all changed the setbacks in 2018 to only 5 foot on the side, so that allows a little bit, houses to be a little bit more closer together, so they can build a little bit bigger house, but they're just tighter.
So he wanted to put 2 houses there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is one lot here, and this will be the other lot here.
Okay, under item 10, 750, public hearing is open on the proposed replat at 329 Rogers. Any comment from the public? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. That takes us to item 11, discussion and possible action regarding application for replat of 329 Rogers, Hale Joe Lot 1415, Block 4, acres .2775. That's MCAD number 136509.
Make a motion.
Yeah, is there a
I
motion?
make a motion that we approve the application for the replat of 329 Rogers. Do I need to read the rest of it?
That's good.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on item 11. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 12, hold a public hearing regarding application for replat of 628 Pullen Street, lots 34 through 36, block 6 of, I guess that's the Joe Hale lot, or Joe Hale addition. Official public records of McLennan County, number 2021-039948.
I noticed that as well. It's Joe and then Jose, so I'm not sure where it came from.
It's Joseph Hale edition, I think.
So this, right now is currently 3 lots, and they want to make it into 2 lots with a plan of building 2 duplexes, so 4 units, 1, 2, and a 3 and 4, right there. Duplexes are still allowable use in the MH zoning, so this does fall in the MH zoning. If y'all recall, last spring y'all took duplexes out of residential zoning, so this is one of the only spots you can build a duplex in McGregor right now.
I was just about to ask that. So that is an allowable use
In MH.
as is.
Mhm.
That's the corner on the corner lot of Pullen, right?
Yes, sir, right here.
If y'all remember those brought to us and we turned it down. Remember, it was an individual
Yeah,
that brought that and presented, but he didn't have anything. He didn't hardly know how he wanted to turn it, how they gonna be built or anything. And we turned that down. But is this the same individual?
It's the same individual, yes. He expressed to me, he's come a couple years ago and requested
Yeah.
to be able to build duplexes over there, and he was denied, and he didn't pursue it anymore.
But he was
Well, he
denied in
wasn't
a
just
separate,
denied.
he was denied in another place, correct? Different location.
He
wasn't
said he said this spot specifically. He's built in
No,
town.
it's
so.
this spot on the cover. When he bought the plan, he didn't even have the plans or nothing or anything when he bought it from the zoning board to the, what's called to the council. And, the council asked him different questions, what was, how they were gonna be set out, they're gonna be on the side. And I met this guy, but I didn't think that was the same guy that presented that night. Cause the guy that owned the old property, unless it's a different guy, he done already built 2 duplexes over there.
That's right.
On-
He's
on Hayes.
Hayes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I met him. He's a doctor or something out of Waco, but I didn't think that was the same guy that bought that night. 'Cause if he was, then I guess he must have learned something.
He says he's the same guy.
Well, but what he presented that night, because quite a few questions was asked, and he wasn't able to really answer them. He just came in and he was just gonna build some duplexes,
So now he's looking at two homes.
But I know that's the same property that was on the end of Pullen.
Duplexes.
Yeah, duplexes. Because I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that was exactly when, but not too long after that when we put a moratorium on building duplexes, because, that's most of what they was coming, people just coming and building duplexes.
Yep. So did this go before zoning?
Yes, sir.
Would they ask or decide or anything?
They recommended it for replat. The use is not the question, just the replat.
I got you. Just the replat for now.
My thing is back to what which they started doing different, but my thing back when I said earlier back, it's just at one time, and that's why we ended up with the moratorium on the duplex, because at one time, that's what most of what was being built in East McGregor. They was building 1 or 2 single-family homes, a smaller single-family home, and they'd build 4 duplexes. If you go over there in East McGregor now, it's every street just about, they building 2 to 3 duplexes right up the street from each other or up further. And like I mentioned then, I'm saying, and everybody understand, or should understand what duplexes is, that's rental property. So all you gonna wind up, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of new buildings and stuff like that, but you're gonna have, that is mostly rental property. People move in and out. And not saying they can't move it in and out of the house, you know, but I'm talking about, but they're more likely they buying a house, they kinda gonna be in it. But if you're building just duplexes, all that is rental property. So, and I made a statement that night, I'm not against building rental property, because we had a lot of vacant land over that property, so, you know, it's better to have something on it than nothing, but we didn't wanna just fill it up with rental property either, because that's what you would have over in the east side of town, would be a lot of rental property, you know, and that don't need to be either, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think any section of town would really want that, you know, even though, yeah, you don't want all that vacant land, but you don't want most of it over there rental property either.
That's right.
So if the replat's approved tonight, he can build whatever he wants to over there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, you could only build one duplex in that property.
Oh, actually, it's 3 lots
Oh,
right
it's
now.
3 lots?
Yeah, so you can't build anything.
3 lots that are too small to comply with anything?
That's right.
I see.
So he has,
Divide them in half, you know.
he's combining 3 and then splitting them again, so he gets
Into
2,
two.
yeah.
Well, if it's already zoned that way, I don't know that we have a whole lot of choice.
You have to come up with a good reason.
Yeah, right. Andrew, were you at the meeting, zoning meeting when this was discussed?
Yeah, I just, the problem I would have, because I know when he brought it to the council, he didn't present it very well, because I remember we turned it down. A lot of the questions we asked, he wasn't able to answer, because I think thought he could just come in and just build duplexes, you know, and he wasn't able to answer a lot of the question thing that we was asking him about, so we voted it down that night, because I thought that was, I don't remember, like I said, you know, I've met him, the one that's, and he said it's the same person, so.
Well, let's open the public hearing. Public hearing's open under item 12 at 7:58. Public hearing is open. Anybody want to comment on this item?
So you're saying that he don't have enough space?
Right now, he doesn't. That's currently 3 lots, and he wants to turn it into 2 bigger lots. So the lots are 6,000 square foot lots.
So he have the option of building a 2-story?
No, they're gonna be single story. They'll be probably the same plan that he built on Hayes, but there'll be 1 here and 1 here. So this will be A unit, B unit, A unit, B unit.
On what part of Hayes Street?
203, 205.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
I was telling them where Laura Phillip is, that's Hayes.
No, I was asking where it's
Yeah.
located on Hayes.
Duplex over there already. But they have duplex over there already.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. They're
Yeah, I
red
see
red
that.
brick.
Okay, okay.
So my house sits on 4 lots, so I could put 3 duplexes on my lot.
If you want to replat it, it's in the right zoning.
So the lot's 3 times bigger than my house, so I could put duplexes.
No.
Anybody else? Public hearing. Public hearing is closed at 7:59. So it's essentially landlocked right now, the way it is.
Yes, sir.
And the proposal is to open it up from 3 lots to 2 lots so he can build something.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty simple. That's a pretty simple explanation. It's just a matter of what we want to do. Otherwise, has no use the way it is now.
And he's going fairly fast with building the duplexes. He's that's the ones he talking about. He just not too long finished them, right there on Hayes.
How they look?
Those, the one now, those one there, when inside and all that, they look fairly nice, and the size of them are a little bit bigger. Seem like there's some duplexes, to me, look like. But he'd be two of them side by side right there. But it was already some on Hayes, right across the street from, and then he up at and built right there.
Yeah, there's some on the corner north.
Yeah.
Mhm. Same floor plan, different owner, different builder.
That was just my only thing with duplexes. I mean, you know, y'all know up here on the
Yeah.
council, it was going fast. I mean,
Yeah.
they kept bringing them before
Yeah,
the
and we,
duplexes.
yeah, and we did the right thing there. It's just this area is zoned that way.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, and on that with him, I didn't remember this thing got, but I know we voted down that night. He didn't present it well. It wasn't presented to the board well.
all right, item 13, is there a motion?
Make a motion where you approve the application for replat of 628 Pullet Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. On item 13, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding approval of ordinance O-04-2024, an ordinance of the City of McGregor, Texas, providing for certain limited incentives to promote healthy economic development and redevelopment within the city limits of the City of McGregor, providing a description of properties qualified for such incentives and establishing qualifying criteria for such incentives, as well as an application process.
No, Councilman Henderson, I think this will help with what you're wanting for specifically your ward, is the stick-built, single-family home that's affordable. We have an infill ordinance right now, and they are required a specific square footage, no matter what the zoning is. Talked to our building inspector, we kicked around some ideas, try to make the infill program a little bit tailored to the zoning, a little bit more enticing based on the zoning. So what we did, instead of having a proposal, instead of having a one house size, is there not one in the packet ordinance?
Well, we got the ordinance.
Okay. If there's not one house size required in all the zonings, the house size minimum would be dependent on the zoning. So R6 is 1,000, R7.2 is 1,200 square foot, and so on. We did end up adding in there some energy efficiency requirements and then clarifying the parking requirement, paved parking, and each house must have a garage. But the incentives still remain the same. We waive some of the permit fees, tap fees, some of the inspection fees, and the certificate of occupancy. They do have to do 65% masonry and meet the square footing and the energy efficiency requirements.
Did you say they have to have a garage?
It does have to have a garage.
Some of them
That's
have
the
no
proposal.
garage.
Yeah, some of the new smaller homes that have been built have waived their applying for infill because they don't want to build the garage, but if they want the incentives, they do have to build a garage.
So, go over again, Brian, specifically, what is the addition? Because I know we've had this before. We've
Right,
had it for
right now
several
it's
years.
1,600 square foot regardless of the zoning. So it's pretty hard to put a 1,600 square foot house on a 6,000 square foot lot. It gets pretty snug. So the proposal is to just have the minimum meet the zoning. So it would be 1,000 in
I see.
R6, 1,200 R7, 1,500 in R10, 20. But then they would have to have a garage as a requirement. So 2 parking spaces, the garage would count as 1, but then they would have to have a paved driveway. Energy efficiency, foam insulation, LED lighting, 65% masonry. So it's usually the front and the sides of the homes has to be stone, some kind of stone product. So we're looking for a little bit higher end finish, that they're gonna spend the money to get that in a home, but then they're also gonna, they break even essentially, but it encourages a higher finish.
So the waiver of the city fees allows them to build a nicer home.
Correct, yeah.
Make the money up there.
Like if we require them to do stone, you know, let's say that's $5,000 to do stone, but then we also waive
Yeah.
certain level of fees that saves them $5,000, so it all comes out in the wash.
How many people take advantage of this?
We get a few. We have a lady right now that's building, I think, her 6th or 8th home in McGregor, and she didn't know about it at all. And so that was the first time that she'd heard about it. But, well, anytime somebody is building on a lot that is empty, or maybe there's a substandard structure, I do try to let them know that we have an infill program to incentivize them building. But I would say it's probably about 30% of people that are building one home here, one home here.
And they would just have to qualify.
They have to qualify, yeah. So they submit their plans to the city, and Barry reviews them, and he and I get together, and then we make a recommendation to the city manager on whether or not it should be approved based on the criteria.
Remember the lot over there on, what is that, Cleveland? Is it Cleveland? Where those two houses were built, you know, one was certain size with the garage, and then the other one built right side of it, small house, right on the corner. Is it, isn't that Cleveland? Yeah, that's Cleveland. You know, Cleveland coming from 7th Street, and then there were two new houses right there. I was saying, you know, one was built, had the garage on it, then they built one right side of it, smaller house, with just a here, but it got a carport thing like on the back.
Oh, I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah,
You know,
so that's
it's not a garage, but it's
a carport on the back side. Yeah, they didn't apply, and that was the lady that informed me she wasn't aware of it. But they didn't do stone either, so that wouldn't have counted.
Tell what, is there a motion under item 14 by ordinance number? Then we can ask further questions if there's a motion on the table or not.
I make a motion to approve ordinance O-04-2024.
There's a motion and a second under item 14. Now, is there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion carries. 15's been pulled. That takes us to 16. Discussion possible action regarding approval of the McGregor Economic Development Corporation budget amendment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is not new funds or anything. It is moving funds from the contingency to personnel. We're hiring someone to work as an administrative assistant with the EDC. That's exactly what this is for. So it's a formalization via the council that we're moving those funds from one budget line item to another.
And I guess your EDC has already approved it.
Yes, sir. Last Thursday.
Who else is on there with you? Andrew? On the EDC? Okay. Yeah, I was talking about from the council, that was you and Andrew. Yeah. Okay, how much we talking about? Well, I think we need to know something so we can at least reference it in the,
Total?
yeah, ballpark.
It's 82, I
Hmm?
think. I believe it was 82 with Benny's and everything.
That was 56.
Or was it 56? I wasn't
56.
Sunday this week.
Okay,
That's including benefits and employer taxes and that sort of thing.
gotcha. Is it a full-time employee?
It is.
But Andrew, I don't think we are, on the council, we approving the amendment, we are, right, just for that position. Am I correct? Because the information you just gave, we didn't, about the amount, remember, that's what we were discussing about. So,
You were gonna bring it to us.
yeah, so how did we
Yeah.
get, how did the council get to pass that? I thought all we were doing for bringing to the council was about passing that amendment to the budget. for the MEDC. Not no, you know, cause you didn't have none of that.
I didn't have the amount at the time of the
That's
meeting.
what I'm saying, so.
Of the EDC meeting, yes, sir. I had to get with Carolyn because I personally don't know how to calculate what benefits and employer taxes costs are.
So the council won't be voting on that amount. That's what I'm.
No, I don't see how we can. We can't vote on the
You can't-
amount if the EDC hadn't approved it.
No, we had,
Yeah, that's true, but I understand, I don't know, Kevin, help us out here a little bit some. If we still know how we would approve a budget amendment, and we don't know what it is.
It's a budget adjustment.
Okay, well, it reads a budget amendment, so that's why I'm confused on the,
It's just moving money from one fund. We just promised y'all that we would always bring contingency money back to the city council before
Okay.
we moved any of it. And that's what.
so that's my understanding. That's what I'm saying. That's all we'll be voting on, cause for that position, the amount of money, what it gonna cost and all that.
that's still somebody
All
else's
that
decision.
before we can bring it back to the board. Remember, we discussed that and talked about it at length. So that's what I'm saying. We wouldn't be voting on that,
No, we would not be.
right? That's my understanding now. If I'm wrong, somebody explain it to me.
So we're just voting to move money.
Yes.
Right. That's all we're voting on.
From contingency to,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Correct.
The budget.
yes, that's all, that's all.
Damn, am I correct? 'Cause if I'm wrong, let me know if I'm wrong, but that was my understanding. And I know we didn't, because that was the question that we kept asking, that wasn't.
Right, and I didn't have the figure
Right,
at the
so-
time that we had the meeting.
All right, so how is the council gonna prove, you just came up with some figures, you just,
After that meeting, because it was brought up in discussion, I got the figure from Carolyn.
Well, we are not gonna approve an amount. That's still y'all's business to do. Only thing we're gonna approve is moving, to allow y'all to move some money, and then y'all can figure it out.
that's what I'm understanding.
Good.
I understand.
That'll work.
Yeah.
That'll
There's
work.
not gonna be an amount.
Yeah.
That's y'all's decision. So, we're gonna modify this to call it a budget adjustment, not the amendment, which would indicate some amount. So under item 16, it's the discussion and possible action regarding approval of McGregor Economic Development Corporation budget adjustment to allow for the EDC to hire a full-time admin person with the EDC to determine how much to pay this person. That'll be y'all's decision.
Well, I will move that we approve MEDC, budget adjustment.
So,
All right.
Can we mention like the contingency fund?
Yes.
From contingency to budget line.
Not out
Is there a second to that?
second.
Okay. All right, so under item 16, there's a motion and a second on this budget adjustment, the reallocation of money in the EDC board, or in the EDC funds. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Under item 17, discussion and possible action regarding approval of an agreement between the City of McGregor, Texas and the McGregor Library Association.
Yes. Michelle Linneman contacted the city regarding some of the requirements from their association, which I found out they don't even have the, I think, the library association. We had it listed in our contract. Contract I looked at, it was dated 1990, so it had a lot of old information as far as what the city contributes to the library as well. So I got with Michelle, we spoke together, then I sent it to Charlie, city attorney, he looked over it, called me with questions, and we came up with what you have before you.
So really what everybody can see is the city contributes to the library, that $14,000. Is that changed in forever? So that's still not changing.
We had it like that, but that's not what the contract says.
So even though we can contribute up to 14,000, we're not?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
That is the minimum that the city is required. And then we also pay their utility.
Right. And maintenance on the building
No, it's not our building.
and, no?
That's the chamber.
Okay. So look at paragraphs 3 and 4, those are key paragraphs. The money in 12 equal installments, pay for water services, natural gas, electricity. Just a city service that we provide to make the library operational.
And it's a bargain.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So for example, Michelle, do we pay her anything to do that?
Association pays it.
Pays her, okay. So that's not our expense?
We just contribute for it.
Okay.
She's doing a lot of great things down there.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I've seen that they've started doing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
So
It's
just
exciting to see.
for your information, the Central Texas Library System no longer exists, having been defunded, along with the 9 other systems. So back then, it was like $3,000 was the minimum. So currently, the minimum is $4.21 per capita, so that equals out to 14,000 from us. The library is actually under the rules are under review, the accreditation rules. So that's the whole point of doing that, so that you can keep your accreditation.
Accreditation,
Mhm.
okay. All right, is there a motion under 17 to approve the agreement between the city of McGregor and the library?
I move that we approve the agreement between the city and the library.
Second.
There's a motion and a second under item 17. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Now that we kinda know about the library and the agreement that we have with the library, it just kinda brings up, something that maybe we can look at in a different council meeting, or maybe staff can let council know. I would like to know what the city contributes to, like, our, I guess, what we fund as community, like the library, how much we contribute, which I can see that now, but how much to our senior center, how much to our food pantry. If I could have something that shows like where we're outsourcing our funds as a city to help our community, I would like to see a report regarding that.
Yeah.
So what all would that
Should-
include?
Carolyn?
in the financials.
Yes, it's in the financials. It'll have, that is our building, you know,
Yeah.
so we would upkeep.
Well, even a
funding.
report that, not just money, but also just kinda like, you know, what would.
Do we mow? Do
Yeah,
we-
like what
Yeah.
all have we
All
been
that.
doing, you know, just as a city and the community to,
We'll get you a report, but you want senior center, food pantry, library, what else?
well, that's what I'm asking
Yeah,
too,
but-
like what
Is there
other,
anything else?
yes,
I don't think so.
okay,
We'll work it out.
thank you.
Any other questions related to 17? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 18, discussion possible action regarding approval of the order of general elections for wards 2 and 4 as council members and mayor at large on May 4th, 2024. Is there a motion to call the election?
I make a motion to approve the order of the general election for Ward 2, 4, and mayor at large on May 4th, 2024.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on item 18. Any other questions?
Just a reminder, the last date of file for place on the ballot is this Friday by 5 p.m.
Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 19, is to receive the financials and quarterly investment report as of December 31st, 2023. So I guess the financials are monthly and the investment report is quarterly as of December?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I'd also like to, before we get started, remind everyone that this is a snapshot, if you will, in time. For instance, if we're comparing month to month, the last day of the month from one year to the next, if I pay the water bill on the 31st one year and on the 1st the next year, there's going to be some discrepancy, but in the end, it's all going to come out in the wash. But I just want us to remember, if there's a discrepancy that's any significance, that could be part of it. Because I know sometimes we see that. Okay, for this year, December is 25% of the annual budget. Our general fund revenues are 1.89 at 27.33%, so a little above our percentage of the year. Our expenses are at 17.27%. Utility fund is a little under at 24.61% in revenues, and 17% though also in expenditures for 1.02 million. Exchange center is at 23.3, which is 11.57%. Keeping in mind that, you know, it books up a year in advance, so this is going. And then 64.2% or 31.87, and the airport is at 109.6 and 71.3 respectively. Our net cash in bank is 7.97 billion more than the same period last year. Our operating accounts are up 140,000, pool cash is up 187. Grants are up 686, capital projects are up 6.8, and debt service is up 105. General fund net cash flow is 312,000 lower than the previous year. Revenue is up 92.9, and expenditures are up 219 as compared to December of last year. I should say 2022, I'm sorry. The revenue decrease is due to lower building permit fees, which are 320,000 less in December between 22 and 23, offset by higher fines and interest. Expenditure increases include capital outlay, contracted services, and personnel. For the exchange, our net cash flows are down only 9,000 as compared to the same period last year. Revenues are up 577, and expenses are up 9.98.
You had to have put 27.
I was going to say that has to be 57. Yeah, that's why I paused. I went, wait a minute. Yeah, I thought, no, that can't be right.
So revenues are up 57,000.
Yes,
They are
yes.
really renting that.
It wouldn't tie to the 9.9, so you're correct. Personnel costs are up 12.2, keeping in mind that we made one person that was part-time, full-time, and we've added 2 additional part-time people. And contracted service expenses are down 3.4. Our airport net cash flows are down 29.1 as compared to the same period in 22. Revenues are up almost 14,000 and expenses are up 42,000, which a big part of that was capital outlay at 32.5 thousand and building maintenance at 8. Okay, Brian, it's been working. I guess it died. That's just all what I just told you. Our sales tax is at 674,000 compared to 617 last year, so it's still rising. I will say I was a little nervous at that because it only went up 189 based on what it's been doing, but I received the report today for March and it's 293,000, almost 300.
Well, there's
So-
no way it can keep growing like it
Yeah.
has, so.
I keep my fingers crossed. So far, it's still, I thought maybe we were bottoming out, but no, we're still continuing.
With the eclipse, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, we should.
Well,
Yeah, next May, huh? We should see a big increase, hopefully. And then on our investment report, you'll see that, Frank, can you blow that up a little bit for me? Because it's dark over here. Okay. Okay, we had 1.395 change between December and September. And you can see for each, what was in the general operating was over $1 million change, and going on down, that shows each individual type of fund we have in the change. Our interest was $422,000, which is our fourth quarter calendar year, but also our first quarter of our fiscal year. And you'll see that in the pools, we're divided 79 and 21% is where we have our funding.
Anything else, Carolyn?
are we good?
We're good.
Seems like we are. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we've got item 20, which is a closed meeting. That's closed meeting pursuant to Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551-071 legal, 072 real estate, 074 personnel, and 087 economic development. What are we going under tonight? All right, so that takes us to item D, which is economic development under Texas Government Code, Section 551.087. Discussion regarding economic development negotiations, including commercial or financial information received from a business prospect seeking to locate, stay, or expand, enter into the city of McGregor to discuss economic development negotiations and/or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect. So it is 8:28. We will stand in executive session at this time, and we will come back out shortly and finish items 21 through 23. We're in executive. All right, we up? Angie? All right, that takes us, we are back in open session. It is now 9:23. There is no action to be taken pursuant to the closed session. That takes us to item 21, which is announcements from the city manager. Kevin?
Brian and I will have at least 2 meetings concerning housing in the near future. Trying to get some of that stuff kick-started again. Hopefully have something good to report to you in the future. That's all I have.
And that's primarily with the HON, what we used to call the HON?
That's one of them, also the ranch.
Okay.
And maybe even the parks. I'm trying to make connections with him, and we've missed each other several times. But we've got meetings with those other 2 already set up, so more to come.
All right, item 22, request comments from the mayor and council members. I still have a question about my Bewley Park. What's happening at Bewley Park? Anything?
I'm trying to figure out how to. Had another visit from a contractor, or not a contractor, a company, and suggested something that I'm got Jacob Henson working on in his spare time, which is not much, but excuse me, a possibility of salvaging that into 2 tennis courts and 2 or 4 pickleball. Yeah.
That'd be great use. Hey, whatever happened to the money from, was it COVID money? A few of y'all were sitting on the board, the advisory committee?
All went to streets.
It all went to Johnson Drive.
Okay, all right,
That's more than half of
good.
what you spent tonight on Johnson Drive.
Okay, well, that's a good cause, yeah. Okay, anybody else? All right, with that, 9:25, this meeting's adjourned.